Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video I wanted to make a tier list of all of the heroes which were released in season 4 of AFK journey, ranking them and talking about them briefly, giving you some sort of help in terms of your wish list priority, maybe even your hero swaps. We have all the heroes up here on the wish list. However, the only hero we have yet to see is Ravion. He hasn't come out yet and he will be the final hero of season 4. So let's go ahead and begin with the S tier, leading it off with Valara, who I think is the most important hero which was released this season because she is so dominant for PvE content. AFK stages, almost every stage has a record using Valara. She is super good there. On top of that, she is very good for Dream Realm. In pre-endless Dream Realm bosses, she was used in more than half of all top teams, and in endless Dream Realm bosses, she's still used in top teams for multiple Dream Realm bosses. So Valara is a hero which basically everyone has to build on their account, and I think everyone is in the progress of building her, if not already getting her to the Supreme Plus level. Now the thing about Valara, and I'm going to show it to you with a bit of a visual representation, Valara is a hero that only needs to be taken up to Supreme Plus because she is a fully PvE focused hero. She is not good at all in PvP. So Supreme Plus is the ideal stopping point for her. If you really want to even min-max, you can upgrade her exclusive equipment even to plus 15, plus 20 if you have the extra resources, because of course her stat ceiling buff effect will depend on her own stats. But Paragon upgrading her is not really at all efficient and is only like for the biggest of whales which would want to consider that. So that's really good about Valara. She gets basically her maximum value at Supreme Plus, and you're just going to be dominating by building her up to that point. Now, another hero which has been very impactful this season has been Daemon. Daemon is a hero which is good for multiple Dream Realm bosses. For Endless specifically, his damage is high. For pre-Endless though as well, his damage was not bad, and also he provides that attack buff for your Hyper Carry in Dream Realm, and so he did have usage in pre-Endless Dream Realm bosses as well. For AFK stages, he can also be used as some protection and some damage, but most importantly for PvP, Daemon is a powerhouse in PvP. He is a hero which can frighten enemies, he can provide good shielding and protection for an ally, he can provide a massive attack buff for your Hyper Carry, and these are all things which are perfectly geared for PvP. So Daemon is a hero which you want to upgrade to Paragon. So here we have a Paragon sort of icon to represent that. Daemon is a hero that you want to keep on your wish list. Try to upgrade to Paragon. It will help you for your Dream Realm scores which use him, and also it will make him more effective in PvP. So that is the thing. Moving on to Pandora. We have Pandora, who is also a massive hero this season. She deals really high damage for endless Dream Realm bosses, like even rivaling damage of Ludovic basically. And so Pandora is a must-pull hero in 3 of the top teams of the 8 different Dream Realm bosses we have. Pandora is a part of them. And so if you don't have Pandora built, or even if your Pandora is under upgraded, you're going to be missing out on score compared to other people who have her built. Now on top of that, she's also very strong in PvP. She is a hero which you kind of want to definitely be running on one of your Supreme Arena defenses or offense teams because she has a really impactful ability of putting that ally into a box, having them come out 4 seconds into the match with full energy, a 50% attack buff, ready to basically wreak havoc on the enemy team. Pandora is super strong, really important hero, and because she's good in PvP and also is a raw damage dealer for endless Dream Realm bosses, both of those are reasons you want to Paragon upgrade her. So we'll just move this Paragon icon over to Pandora. She is a priority to be Paragon upgrading to allow her to just be more effective in her 2 major game modes. So Pandora is a hero you also want to keep on your epic recruitment wish list. Unfortunately, Pandora cannot be put on the regular all hero recruitment. She is only available from epic recruitment. So for most players, Pandora is going to be a hero which will remain on your epic recruitment wish list forever, basically, because that's the only way you can get her, and she's a pretty big Paragon priority. Okay, finally for the S tier, we have Baelran. Baelran, of course, he is the most meta celestial Hypogean of this season. The most number of players have actually built him and recruited for him because he is a beast in Dream Realm. For endless Dream Realm bosses, he is in the top team for 3 out of the 8 Dream Realm teams, and he provides a pretty big score gap by having him. For Ravage Realm as well, we've seen he provides a 5 trillion damage score gap. And people who do not have Bailran will not be able to compete for the top ranks of Ravage Realm just because of how big of a score gap he is providing. Also, Bailran is really good for multiple AFK stages, so all around Bailran is a strong hero. Now, the thing about Bailran is he is going to be a hero I'm also going to consider Supreme Plus as his ideal stopping point because he is more PvE focused. In PvP, Bailran is not very strong, at least as of right now. His major issue is he doesn't really get going until he can ascend, and he needs a lot of healing to get up to that ascension level, and he can usually be killed before even reaching that point. So I think Bailran, Supreme Plus. Don't worry about Paragon unless, again, you are the biggest of whales and you are just trying to maximize your score for different PvE content, because of course it is going to boost his damage in Dream Realm as well slightly, but like Supreme Plus is the ideal stopping point for Bailran. Okay, moving down to the A tier, we have some heroes here. I first want to talk about Thador. Thador is a hero, honestly, very, very solid hero. The two major game modes he's useful for are AFK stages, where he is needed for multiple different teams, like on multiple different stages. So Thador has a lot of usage in AFK stages. On top of that, in PvP, Thador is a beast. Thador providing that 350 energy boost to the lieutenant behind him, also the crit boost to them, and then the cherry on top of the cake is the fact that when that ally who is his lieutenant casts their ultimate for the first time, Thador is going to summon the Dark Moon, which is going to defense shred the enemies, allowing your heroes to hit them even harder. So overall, Thador is one of the perfect PvP heroes, and also really good for AFK stages, which means that Thador is, even though I do not consider him S tier, after you've completed the S tier priorities for this season, Thador is the next up in line, basically, to be upgrading, and also he is going to be a Paragon priority, because Thador is really good in PvP, and of course, if you can Paragon upgrade him, that is going to give your whole team those Inspiration, Intimidation, Rivalry stats to boost their effectiveness. Now, Thador, because he is a tank, tanks do not need Paragon upgrades as much as other damage dealer heroes. Damage dealer heroes are going to benefit more compared to tanks with the Paragon upgrade. However, because he is going to be a part of your team, providing those Inspiration, Intimidation stats, you will want to Paragon upgrade Thador eventually and probably keep him on your wish list over time. Okay, next up we have Saida and Kulu. So Saida, let's talk about her. She was really good for the Crystal Crawler Primal Lord, but for Dream Realm content, she is completely useless. Apart from that AFK stages, she is used in some high deficit level stages, but honestly speaking, not as much usage as, for example, Bailran, Thador, or even Valara. So, but Saida is still getting the usage there. And then finally, for PvP, Saida is one of the best Soul heroes in the game. If you can protect her from enemy Cryonia, Saida is going to whittle down the enemy team, and it is really difficult to get rid of her. So Saida is really strong for PvP, and that would of course mean that you will want to Paragon upgrade Saida as a priority if you do plan to build her. And the final thing to mention about Saida is that if we do end up getting the Crystal Crawler turned into a Dream Realm boss and his mechanics remain the same, where he can be crowd controlled and you benefit by crowd controlling him, then Saida could be the best in slot option for that Dream Realm boss if he does come. Like, that is two big ifs, right? It's an if, which is he going to be a Dream Realm boss next season? And the other if is he going to be crowd controllable like he was in the Primal Lord? Because even when a hero is translated into a Dream Realm boss, they usually do not retain their exact skill kit that they had for the Primal Lord. So that is going to be kind of the thing. And then we have Kulu. So Kulu is another hero who is going to be a Paragon upgrade priority if you plan to build her, because she is a PvP hero. She has some use in AFK stages, but you can even get the job done of that with one copy of her. She doesn't need to be highly upgraded or even built up for AFK stages. So the reason you'd be building Kulu is for PvP. And Kulu overall is a very solid PvP hero. That's why I had to keep her in the A tier. I can't have these heroes down in the B tier or below, because Kulu, I mean, she's a hero, a meta PvP hero. But the thing is, she's purely PvP. She doesn't have usage in other areas like the other heroes we've mentioned up until right now. And that is really kind of why it is difficult for anyone to warrant or have a reason to actually build her, unless they have plenty of resources and they are a higher spender. But that being said, Kulu is really good for countering enemy melee teams. She's really good even in ranged enemy teams because she provides ranged defense buff onto your allies, and she's really good along with other hyper carriers who need that additional protection like Cryonaya, and also she provides that explosive debuff onto the enemy team, which is going to increase the damage that your hyper carrier will deal to them, and so that's why she has a lot of synergy with hyper carriers, and she has crowd control in her other skills. So overall, Kulu is a very solid hero, no question about that, but she is purely PvP. Okay, moving on to B tier. In the B tier, we have only Zanie. And let me explain why I put Zanie here. So it is a bit early to already give a conclusion on Zanie. But as of right now, it is pretty clear to me that Thador is the more meta hero compared to Zanie, at least for this stage of the season that we're in. Zanie is in technically one top Dream Realm team of Elucia. However, the Sinbad team, rather than Zanie, is almost identical, and for some people, even doing better in terms of score. And so, like, I can't really say that Zanie is in the overall top team for one Dream Realm boss. And even if she is, it is kind of like a minor score gap, and that is why it's like, I can't really say that for endless Dream Realm bosses. Now, we have not seen Zanie for pre-endless Dream Realm bosses, which I do expect she should be doing pretty well because she is just a raw damage dealer. She's not a true damage dealer, not an HP loss damage dealer, and heroes who are just raw damage dealers like she is are generally better for pre-endless Dream Realm content. So it could be that. Apart from that, she's basically not using AFK stages. For Ravage Realm, she is a good damage dealer option. However, there are other heroes which can take her place. And in PvP, Zanie, again, interesting hero, but honestly, not necessarily the strongest or most broken hero. She's just kind of balanced in PvP. Her turrets can deal good damage, but also they are easy to kill. And Zanie herself is also easy to kill. And so overall, these are kind of Zanie is like, she has her advantages and she has her disadvantages. And overall, she's just kind of an average hero in PvP, an average hero for Dream Realm so far, or Ravage Realm, and no use in AFK stages. So that is basically why I put Zanie in the B tier. However, if you're planning to build Zanie, I would probably also try to Paragon upgrade her. The good thing is the A-level Lightbearer wishlist is not very crowded in terms of Paragon priorities, and I would make Zanie one of those Paragon priorities, because she can be pretty cool in PvP, and I'm waiting to see in future seasons, future faction talents that could maybe synergize with the better, or even artifacts, because the unique thing about Zanie is that she puts two other bodies on the field along with herself. She is the only hero that actually, when you place her into the battlefield, you actually are placing 3 different heroes, which are all considered individual heroes. Fresco right now only has 2 individual heroes, him and his illusion. Okay, so finally we have the C tier, heroes who I've put here, and let me just explain my reasoning. So all 3 of these heroes, Pang, Zandrock, Indris, they are not meta for AFK stages, they are not meta for Dream Realm, they are not meta for PvP, honestly speaking. And if they're not meta in any game mode, and even honestly speaking, kind of like average to below average in all 3 different game modes, it's like there's no real reason or pressure for you to be building these heroes. Now, of course, all heroes have their advantages. All heroes can see some usage, especially in PvP. For example, Pang, of course, if he can buff up your allies when they go above 850 energy, giving them attack buff, giving them an unaffected shield and a pretty high shield to take damage. That can be useful for some team comps. But in the same way, basically any other hero could be used on your team rather than Pang, and also kind of do the same job. He is not really a game-changing hero. And in terms of his actual damage output for PvP, usually what I've seen in the high meta PvP teams is that Pang usually just ends up dying very quickly. Even if he's on a Mauler faction talent tile, basically he usually ends up dying pretty quickly. Maybe just giving, you know, that your first round of your allies getting up to that high energy, giving them that shield. But overall, I don't think that's enough of a reason for him to actually be meta for PvP. And for Ravage Realm now, Zandrock, Pang, and even Indris, technically, they are considered in the best team, but they're providing a very minor score gap compared to the non-version of them. Basically, if you don't have Pang or you don't have Indris, but you have Lenya instead, you're only going to be missing out on like 500 billion damage, which like basically it will not make it really a game-changing impact on your ranking. So that is why these heroes are not providing enough of a score gap, and so they are not a priority build even for Ravage Realm, which is kind of their only game mode where they are considered their best option. Zandrock, kind of the same, a minor score gap for Ravage Realm. which is definitely not a reason to be actually building him. Zandrock, though, however, has some use for AFK stages, but I've even seen him use one copy in AFK stages, so he doesn't even have to be fully built. And then finally, Indris. Indris is a hero which is just really awkward because, like, he doesn't have enough damage output, he has debuffs, but not enough debuffs, and so, like, he can be good in some PvP teams, like with the Lightbearer faction talent tiles. However, a lot of heroes are good with the Lightbearer faction talent tiles, and it's not kind of, like, actually representative of how solid a hero actually is in PvP. And for Ravage Realm, like we said, he is just going to be a minor score increase compared to like Alenia, and he's actually worse than Pang in Ravage Realm, so slightly worse than Pang. So overall, that's why I'm not even going to give like a priority to these heroes. However, if you're building, like let's say you're building Pang for PvP, you will want to try to get him Paragon upgraded, of course, and in the same way if you're building Zandrock for PvP, which honestly, I'm not a fan of Zandrock in PvP, so I'm not even going to put it over there, but like you would of course want to Paragon upgraded. So Pang, I do think, is the most solid of the three here, and maybe he could even be moved up to the B tier if I was a little bit more maybe generous with him. However, I do kind of like the positioning of what we have here. Now, one thing to mention finally is that Zanie and Thador, because we only have these two A levels this season, Ravion has been like announced to be an S level hero, and if it remains that way, then Thador and Zanie will be the only heroes potentially that you can swap with your swap ticket. Some people are thinking, should they, get Zanie up to Supreme Plus and swap it with Thador so that they can get their Thador built up and ready to go? Because a lot of people did actually skip Thador because of also his positioning. He was right after Valara and Daemon, and so no one had resources basically for him. So that is a decent option. Swapping Zanie and getting your Supreme Plus Thador, honestly a good option because Thador is better than Zanie. I think Thador is a really solid hero. He is going to serve you well by building him up. So I can totally get behind that swap ticket decision, but yeah, that's just the final thing I wanted to mention. So feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. But if you guys are not already a member of my AFK Journey Discord server, please join that. There's a link to that in the description of this video. We talk about everything related to AFK Journey. Also, if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. There is a link to that in the description of this video and a pinned comment. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.